Since Halloween has finally arrived, happy Halloween by the way, I figured it's a perfect time to share my picks for the top 10 spooky animated movies of all time. So grab your candy, dim the lights, and let's dive into this list of horror animated movies. Let's go. Hope you guys like my shirt by the way. It's my favorite Friday the 13th movie. What's going on, all my beautiful people? My name's Jacey, and today I'm going to give you my top 10 spooky animated movies of all time. Now, before I do get started, just know that if you do not see one of your favorite spooky animated films on this list, just know that I simply could not fit it all into this top 10. It doesn't mean that it's a bad film. This is just my picks, so please don't hate me in the comments, and also give me your top 10 in the comments, all right? I mean, it's a no judge free zone, okay? Please make sure you hit that like, hit the subscribe, hit that notification bell to stay up to date on more top 10 videos that I'm giving you just like this. All right, so let's kick it off with my number 10 pick, with that being Wendell and Wild. Two mischievous demon brothers, Wendell and Wild, aka played by Key and Peele themselves, team up with a troubled teen to pull off a wild plan that blurs the line between the living and the underworld. Man, I feel like this is one of those underrated movies that's shown on Netflix, and when it came out a few years ago, I watched it and I loved it. I mean, obviously, another thing I should probably tell you guys is that I am a sucker for stop motion animation. I just love those films. I love the art form of it. I love how long it takes. And a lot of the stories, to be honest, ironically, in stop motion animation are very unique compared to just a lot of regular animated films, even that you see nowadays. But here's the reason why it's great. It's directed by the legend himself, Henry Selick. Yes, the same visionary behind Coraline and The Nightmare Before Christmas. So it's no wonder that it's pretty different. But this stop motion gem dives deep into themes of grief, redemption, and chaos, all wrapped into a gothic art style type of film. The visuals are eerie yet captivating, and the characters are bursting with personality. It's a clever mix of spooky, comedy, and emotional storytelling that makes it a standout in modern animation. Now, while Wendell and Wild explores the underworld with dark humor, the next film brings classic monsters to life in a whole new way and with a familiar talking dog leading the mystery. Yes, I feel like one of the most underrated horror animated films of all time. You heard me say it, and just because it's at number 9 doesn't mean that it's not a good film. And that is Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. Man, I've never been a huge fan of the Scooby-Doo cartoon growing up. Although I did watch it here and there, I never felt like there were certain episodes that I just had to watch. But in the early 2000s for us millennials, man, this movie came out and it just honestly changed the game for me. The Mystery Inc. gang reunites for what seems like another routine case until they discover that this time the monsters might actually be real. I think that was the biggest twist with this movie and kept me captivated throughout the whole film. Not only that, but I love the story. I love some of the elements that they give us and kind of toting that line between being too scary for kids and being a little more adult for us teens. It was a perfect blend and I love this movie. And honestly, it changed the formula for Scooby-Doo forever. It gave us a darker, more mature tone, chilling animation, and genuine scares, all while keeping the humor that fans love. The Louisiana swamp setting adds to the eerie atmosphere, making it one of the best and boldest Scooby-Doo adventures ever. I mean, until then, I haven't really seen another Scooby-Doo animated movie that rivals this one. Now, after dealing with the zombies and voodoo curses, which is why I love this movie, let's hop across the pond to a small British village where a giant fluffy creature is turning townsfolk into nervous wrecks. With number 8 being Wallace and Gromit, The Curse of the Were-Rabbit. When vegetables start disappearing just before the annual giant vegetable competition, Wallace and his loyal dog Gromit uncover a hairy mystery that's more monstrous than it seems. And yes, Were-Rabbit is a play off of Werewolf. If you've never seen this movie, please go and check it out. It's not only brilliantly written, the screenplay is excellent, but also the acting, as always, when it comes to these films. And I loved how we got a lot of puns in this movie. And honestly, get used to that when you're watching this one if you've never seen it, because there are a lot of puns, but they're pretty clever the way they're written. I mean, they're not aimed too much at little kids, so a lot of adults will get it, especially a lot of the horror fans out there. And yes, this is a claymation film, and it's a classic that blends British wit, charming humor, and a dash of horror movie parody. The creature design and stop motion detail are top notch, and the bond between Wallace and Gromit gives the film its heart. It's lighthearted yet spooky enough to fit perfectly into any Halloween lineup. Now, from one quirky village mystery to another, the next film takes us to a small town where ghosts, zombies, and a brave young boy with a gift for seeing the dead take center stage. And that is my number 7 pick with Paranorman. Norman is a boy who can talk to ghosts, and he must use his gift to stop an ancient curse from destroying his town. I remember watching it years back in theaters and being blown away not only for this stop motion animation brought to us by Laika, one of my favorite studios who does stop motion animation, but I love the unique story. Also, the understanding that the character Norman gives us. And with that being said, I remember I took my older brother and his now wife, but she was his girlfriend at the time, and they also liked it. It was one of those movies, even as a young adult, I went and saw and thought, man, this is a great film. But Paranorman is a touching story about being misunderstood and learning to accept others' differences. I love that message in this film. The movie combines heartfelt emotion with thrilling supernatural action, and the stop motion animation is jaw-droppingly detailed, especially in the third act when things get crazy around the town. There's a lot of zombies and just all this ruckus and chaos. Love the details in a lot of the town and things that are going on. It's a spooky yet meaningful adventure that reminds us that being different can be your greatest strength, and kind of also gave me a little bit of familiarity and some of those elements that reminded me of the latest spooky animated film that I just reviewed. By the way, if you have not checked out my review on Stitchhead, go and check it out. It's probably going to pop up somewhere up here, but that's another good film that just came out not too long ago, and it kind of had that same theme about accepting your differences and also not being afraid to be yourself. But Norman's tale of bringing life back to the dead flows perfectly into the next movie, one that's all about reanimating love, loyalty, and a beloved pet. And that is number 6 with Frankenweenie. After his dog tragically dies, young Victor Frankenstein brings him back to life with electrifying results. This one was one of those that I saw and loved from start to finish. Also, I loved how Tim Burton decided to use black and white for the colors of this film to kind of give an ode to a lot of the classic monster movies. And he does well with ease. I love how not only he does it with the black and white picture, but also with some of the other things that happen, especially in the third act. But Frankenweenie is heartfelt, funny, and visually striking. Using stop motion to create a gothic yet emotional world. Yes, this is another stop motion, I know, but it seems like we got a lot of spooky stop motion animation films in the early 2000s. But it's the perfect blend of spooky science and touching storytelling that makes you both laugh and tear up. This is a must watch for me, even as it gets closer to this season. And speaking of that, while Frankenweenie celebrates the bond between boy and dog, the next movie gathers an entire hotel full of monsters for a frightfully fun family getaway. And that is number 5 with Hotel Transylvania. Count Dracula opens up a luxurious resort where monsters can relax away from humans until a human stumbles in and chaos ensues. Yes, and Dracula is played by Adam Sandler. A lot of the monsters in here are played by some of his friends, and that's okay because you got David Spade, you also have Kevin James playing Frankenstein's monster. At first, I was a little leery about some of these comedian actors playing some of these classic monsters, but no, they do a good job, and it's also filled with wit and a lot of quick one-liners. This fast-paced, laugh-out-loud film is full of charm and heart. The animation is energetic, the cast is stellar, and it cleverly flips monster stereotypes on their heads. It's not just spooky, it's wholesome fun for all ages, and I feel like, again, this is one that I have to watch every year with my family, even my nieces and my nephew. Like, I just have to watch this movie. Not only do you get some of the classic movie monsters, but you get some fun with these characters that we're not used to seeing. It's usually a lot of the seriousness and tone, just like Frankenweenie, and I think that's the reason why I put this just a little bit higher than Frankenweenie. But again, you guys, don't blame me in the comments, okay? I just love how different this movie is, and even taking that comedic approach with these monsters. Now, if Hotel Transylvania brings the laughs, the next movie delivers pure eerie vibes with a twisty tale of bravery and curiosity, all through the eyes of a little girl who discovers a world that's too perfect to be real. I know a lot of the internet's gonna be like, this is probably, I wouldn't be surprised, a lot of people's number 1 pick. This movie quickly over the years has become one of my favorites. And that is number 4 with Coraline. Coraline Jones finds a hidden door in her new home that leads to an alternate version of her life. One that seems better at first, but hides a terrifying secret. Man, this movie, when I first saw it, I thought, man, this movie is twisted and it is really dark, even for a family kids film. But it teaches you a great lesson, and that's one thing that I even learned watching this movie. And later on, as the years have gone by, I realized how great it was. But honestly, this stop motion masterpiece is creepy, imaginative, and visually stunning. The other mother remains one of the most chilling characters in animation history, and especially seeing her character arc and how you see her in the third act compared to the middle of the film, it's pretty crazy. That juxtaposition is wild. But Coraline perfectly balances wonder and horror, making it a timeless dark fantasy for both kids and adults. This one could have been a little bit higher, but this next one I feel like means just a little bit more to me when it comes to the spooky season, bringing a lot of that vibe. From one haunting love of the macabre to another, the next film brings gothic romance to life with haunting music, beautiful animation, and Tim Burton's signature touch. I'm talking about Tim Burton's Corpse Bride. Now this one also over the years has become one of my favorites, and again, you guys, in the comments, I'm not surprised if you're gonna be like, nah, I'd put Coraline a little bit higher, but this one for me is just a tad bit better when it comes to the spooky season and really setting the mood for me and getting me really geared up towards Halloween. But a timid groom accidentally proposes to a deceased bride, finding himself whisked away to the land of the dead just before his real wedding. How this gothic romance combines haunting visuals, bittersweet emotion, and stunning stop-motion animation. Danny Elfman's music adds to the film's eerie elegance and the story's mix of humor, tragedy, and heart, making it unforgettable. And I think that's another reason why I put this a little bit higher than Coraline, is because, I mean, Danny Elfman did the music. That is just iconic. You can't really get away from that. And also, I feel like the pacing is a little bit tighter in here. This film is darkly romantic in the best possible way. I think that's the reason why I find myself watching it more towards Halloween, is because it gives you these dark vibes, but also implementing some beautiful feeling into it with the music, the voice acting. You have Victor played by Johnny Depp, and also with a few others. Like, this movie for sure has become one of my favorites over the years, and that's why I put it just a little bit higher on my list. Now, while Corpse Bride deals with love beyond the grave, our next movie reminds us that sometimes the haunted house next door can be just as terrifying, especially when it's alive. Yes, guys, this has to be one of my favorite spooky animated films of all time. I love this movie and I have to watch it. It is a must. I watch it towards Halloween season. And that is number 2 with Monster House. 3 kids discover that creepy old house across the street is actually alive and hungry. And from the opening of this movie all the way to the end, you not only get a lot of the visuals of leaves falling, but you get a lot of the Halloween vibe. On top of this taking place during the Halloween season and even at the end on Halloween night. Monster House perfectly captures the feeling of childhood curiosity mixed with genuine fear. Talk about a great concept. I mean, what if there isn't just a haunting in the house or person being possessed? What if the house itself was the monster? I thought that was brilliant even when I first saw it. But its motion capture animation gives it a unique look, and the story delivers both laughs and chills. It's a nostalgic, spooky adventure that feels like the Goonies mixed with Goosebumps. And finally, we arrive at my number 1 pick. You guys have probably guessed it already, but the ultimate spooky animated classic that blends Halloween and Christmas into one unforgettable masterpiece. Yes, I'm talking about The Nightmare Before Christmas. Now, I know before you get up in my comments saying, now this is technically a Christmas movie, this and that. Hey, nonetheless, for me, I have to watch it during the season, and I think the reason why I put it at number 1 was not only because this is a masterpiece, it's well voice acted, it has an amazing score, and it's so iconic, but also I feel like not only is the story unique, but it's one of those movies that even if I don't get a chance to watch it in the beginning of spooky season, like the beginning of October or September, I could definitely watch it a little closer to Halloween and after Halloween. And trust me, I feel like I do that every year subconsciously. But Jack Skellington, the Pumpkin King of Halloween Town, grows bored of scaring people and decides to take over Christmas with chaotic results. Now, my family does Christmas up like no other. They are the biggest Christmas fanatics like ever, and I love them for that. Me, myself, I'm big into Halloween. I love horror, I love the macabre, and growing up celebrating so much of Christmas and also doing my own version of Halloween and also taking that upon myself to really celebrate that the way I want to, I feel like this just blends my two favorite holidays into one. And you could definitely see that with this movie. Not only is the story perfect to me, but this is the gold standard of spooky animation. It's the first stop motion animation I had ever seen as a kid. With Tim Burton's creative vision, Henry Selick's direction, and Danny Elfman's iconic music, The Nightmare Before Christmas is both magical and macabre. I mean, guys, I even have the vinyl record for this movie because I grew up out playing it. But its stop motion artistry, catchy songs, and imaginative world make it endlessly rewatchable. I always find myself watching this every year. It has to be in October, and like I said, sometimes even after October, in November or even December. It's not just a movie, it's a holiday tradition for me and my family, and it bridges the two worlds that celebrates creativity, curiosity, and the spirit of both Halloween and Christmas. Now, I bet you guys probably didn't expect that to be number one, and yes, I was going back and forth with myself like, well, is it technically a Christmas movie, so should I not put it on here or what? But ultimately, I decided, come on now. It's still got a lot of spookiness in there, a lot of that world that I love with Jack coming from, and all of those things. It's always a must no matter what every spooky season for me to watch, and even during Christmas season. From hilarious monster comedies to emotional gothic tales, these 10 films showcase just how beautiful, creepy, and heartfelt animated storytelling can be. Whether you're in it for the laughs, the scares, or the stop motion artistry, each one earns its place as a spooky classic on my list. But alright guys, so there you have it. My top 10 favorite spooky animated movies of all time. Did I miss any? Let me know in the comments below, and like I said, give me your top 10 for sure, and don't hate me for it, please. But last thing before you do go, please make sure that you hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell to stay up to date. My name is Jacey, and until next time.